What's going on, everybody, and what's going on, folks? My name is David, and I'm your beautiful, beautiful, legendary host of this legendary podcast, the Deconstructing Topic podcast. Ooh, ooh, oh, where we making it happen and we talk a little bit of it all. And today we got an interesting one that definitely, how can I say it to you? It kind of like hits something. It always hits a nerve when it comes to the situation, what's going on, and off the bat, I'll be talking about what's going on with ICE and this whole situation because it's one of those things that we definitely got to talk about it because you know what I want to say is this in regards to what's going on with ICE. And once again, after this episode, when you listen to this episode, hit the sub if this is the first time that you're doing your thing. I'm all over the platforms. I'm all over the place. Let's go, Teagles TV. Giving you a shout out on this one, this beautiful podcast, this beautiful episode. But we're going to kind of deconstruct a little bit of the ICE situation, and it's going to get a little bit more broader because I have to do a lot. And I always said, if you listen to my podcast, and if you know me on a personal level, and now that you are listening to my podcast, I always say that for some reason, in my lifetime, I think perhaps the most important event that has happened was 9/11. And for many reasons, there's many Americans' life has lost. And sadly, for many reasons, I always say that 9/11 was like kind of that thing, in a sense, like Pearl Harbor, where something happened. In America, and the powers that be need to ramp up this. They need to ramp up defense. They need to ramp up the military. They need to ramp the military complex, the entertainment complex where we are sold and we turn people into consumers where it's okay, we got to fight for freedom, we got to do all this. 9/11, for some reason, 9/11 for me is that thing, and it has a lot to do with ICE. Yeah, people are going to be like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And yes, that's why you got to hit that sub, hit the like, feel free to comment. Once again, go on your laptop, do something. Help me out here. Hitting the like, commenting. It moves the dial for my podcast, which I believe that we on a goal, we on a mission. I'm telling you, by the end of the year, we're going to get 100,000 subs. We're going to do a lot of things. As a matter of fact, I should be in the millions, but because I got a beautiful job, 9 to 5, quote unquote. Hey, listen, I got to devote myself to my job because I love what I do. And you already know, once again, it's your boy, Deconstructing Topic Podcast. Once again, it's David, the legendary host, and I want to touch bases on what happened a couple of weeks ago when it came to ICE and this situation with Nicole Good, the individual in Minnesota. And I'm like, what is going on in Minnesota? What is it? The powers that be grab their phone and just be like, hey, listen, Minnesota, I need for you to kind of, put some good deeds and make it happen, something. Because I'm one of the belief, and it's always been, and I love America, but the powers that be needs to, yes, they need to. And when I've been talking about the powers that be, everybody that's running this country, whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever it is, it's still the same little group there. And I always said, for some reason, the history of this country and those that powers that be, when it comes to, and I'll say this flat out, for some reason, America love killing Americans, right? And 9/11 will come in. 9/11 is going to come into the picture too. America have had a history, and then for the folks out there that are listening to my podcast, if you're listening to my podcast, one of the things that when we come to like together to do a protest, whether it's against the war, against this, against that, and so on and so forth, for the most part, those are peaceful protests. But what happened to the individual, the young lady, Nicole Good, it kind of reminds you when she was there, hey, listen, against whatever is going on with ICE, and I get it. Now, I don't want to go back and forth, hey, she did this, and then this, and that. Listen, this is not new. What happened on that day, it's not definitely new. And one of those things that, I was going to say, it kind of reminds me, but I wasn't born at that time, Kent State in 1970, if I'm not mistaken. There was a protest there, peaceful protest against, what was going on in Vietnam. And sadly, a couple of National Guards just started shooting some of the protesters. couple of people died, a couple of people wounded. If I go back to, let's say, my homeland, Puerto Rico, let's go to Ponce Massacre back in the 1930s, if I'm not mistaken, late 30s, 40s, where you got peaceful protesters who were questioning about, Albizu Campo, hey, what's going on, where he's at. That's our boy. He's fighting for the independence. And just because you got a voice to fight for the independence, or you got a voice to, let's say, protest ICE and the situation with Kent State, just because you're exercising the right to protest, it doesn't mean that you got to get gunned down. And sadly, this government, for some reason, the powers that be, always have a thing to, hey. And then the Ponce Massacre, it was bloody. Even though, despite it was not, my understanding, Americans, but on the behest of the governor at that time, was, if I'm not mistaken, Blankenship. I could be wrong, but it was under his direction to say, hey, listen, if Puerto Ricans get a little bit crazy out there and then they start wilding out, even if they don't even do anything, you already know what to do. And sadly, the Ponce Massacre happened. I like to go back to what I just said in regards to America loves killing Americans. And I'm going to go with 9/11. Now, once again, 9/11 is something that happened for those people that were not alive and those people that remembered. 9/11 was a terrorist attack. Twin Towers, boom, thousands of American lives died. And sadly, yeah, a lot of people. And sadly, it's one of those things that could have been avoided. But our intelligence community in the United States decided, maybe that will give us the reason to go and boom and do the thing where they go after Bin Laden, right, the master of the 9/11, and then they go after Saddam Hussein a couple of years later, like, just because they had a phone call, supposedly, oh, no, it was weapons of mass destruction. Now, those things happened during 9/11, right? What came after 9/11 was the Department of Homeland Security. Hey, listen. And it's crazy because even in me, in, let's say, the 90s, early 90s, if I'm not mistaken, we're talking about what, 94, 95, mid-90s, the Oklahoma bombing. Hey, listen, the individual that did it, McVeigh, Timothy McVeigh, that's the individual's name, had no allegiance to any country or anything and was just a domestic terrorist. So when 9/11 happened, sadly, all the fingers was pointed at, you got Muslim extremists, whatever it is, Bin Laden, Al Qaeda, all those people that's going on. Hey, we got to do something. So because of that, we got to watch the people here at home, and the Department of Homeland came about that. So giving you a little history lesson here, because 9/11, I'm telling you, 9/11 was that thing. 9/11 was basically where it gave the powers that be, United States, and those who make money of war, and those who make money of politics, those who make money in the industrial complex, whatever complex, and TV shows, a lot of TV shows, a lot of movies came after 9/11 terrorist attack. We always got to, we work in it because, look, listen, they're going to turn us into consumers. They turn us into consumers because we propping up TV shows, programs, everywhere, the schools. We prop it up that we are sending troops because of freedom, because we're fighting for your freedom, right? So 9/11 happened, and the Department of Homeland Security comes about. And we're talking about 2002. And what came out of the Department of Homeland Security is none other than ICE in 2003. You see where I'm coming from on this? I just want to say is this. I've been talking about these things for a long time. Hey, listen, it's better late than never. Sometimes I imagine, what if I had a podcast back then talking about all the good things, all those good things that, hey, listen, I always said everything is connected. If you got a two-party system here with the Democrats and the Republicans, the hand that washes the other type of parties, and you got this administration with Donald J. Trump and those people out there and doing their thing, and Kristi Noem and all these people, and I'm like, okay, things are not looking good. And sadly, I always When it comes to politics, I always see politics in the eye of a wrestling fan because I always said that when it comes to politics, it's like a script. And the media plays a lot to it because they could swerve you. And hey, by all means, we got these ICE protests going on across the nation. I'm feeling the energy. But here's the deal with that situation. And even me, who have been discussing this situation about the border, about ICE for quite a long time, even 15 years ago. But you know what happened 15 years ago? Who's the president of the United States? Barack Obama. So I was bringing situation for those organizations that I'm doing my thing with, for at least I'm connecting and we all doing something together. No one wanted to hear it. Like, oh no, David, it's one of those things that, hey, listen, if somebody comes here legally, you already know it's gonna do their thing, and I'm like, no, it's gonna get out of hand. But because it's Barack Obama, the president at that time, back in 2012, when I started kind of open up, and the reason I started open up in regards to the border situation, hey, listen, your boy got some connections, And as time passed by, it's like crickets. And then Trump happened. And out of nowhere, now we care for what's going on in the border and what's going on in ICE. Now, Trump first thing, 2016, 2020. Then the Biden administration comes in. Joseph Biden becomes the president. And what happened during that time, during the time of Biden, out of nowhere, he loses it. Kamala Harris runs for president, goes against Trump. Trump wins. What happened there, right? Is that when Trump became president again in 2024, he came back with a budget, an extra budget of ICE. My understanding is either $1 to $2 billion, something to that effect, 1.5. And, and I tell people, what do you think that Trump's going to do with that money? And here's the, with a hand that washes the other type of thing. See, I always said that one party does something, they start something, while the other one continues or finishes it. Depending on what political party and where you stand at, you're silent about one, but not silent about the other. But yet, it's the same thing happening, just, in a different form. And when it comes to a situation, I've been vocal about what's going on in the border because it's a little bit darker than what, the media perceive. People think, hey, we got to fight ICE because, whatever it is, now they take in citizens, which is true because of this so-called bonus that some of these people are getting. And sadly, ICE, which is the federal, how can I say, branch, the Department of Homeland Security federal branch, they just basically telling people, hey, sign up for ICE, we'll give you a bonus. So you got all these knuckleheads in mass just grabbing everybody, even the citizen, like what happened to Nicole Good, sadly. And again, I don't want to hear the situation, well, her wheels and she was about to hit. Again, United States always have had a history. The powers that be always have had a history. When it comes to a protest or peaceful protest or something to that effect, And I go back to why American loves killing Americans. I'm just saying. When 9/11 happened, a lot of stuff happened. And one of the most notable soldiers, Pat Tillman, a former football player, I talked about that before in my podcast. And he ate all that up. Hey, we're going to fight for freedom. We're going to do this. And then out of nowhere, they tell, hey, Pat, you're an Army Ranger. We need you in Iraq. And my understanding, he was kind of questioned based on the family. He was questioning, okay, what does Iraq have to do with 9/11? I thought we was going after bin Laden. Oh, well, stuff changed, now that 9/11 happened, we need to kind of extend our hand to make sure that everything is good in the Middle East. And then, sadly, Pat Tillman gets killed, friendly fire, something that United States covered for years. People thought it was an insurgent, and he died as a hero, but friendly fire. They even told his family, he died as a hero protecting his platoon. And his family was questioning. But you see, again, they send the boys and girls to do these things to be like, oh, we fighting for your freedom when At the end, they're not fighting for anything. They're probably fighting for oil. They're probably fighting for land, opium, something to that effect. And the boys and girls of this country, they get sacrificed for the better of who? Again, the powers that be. And when it comes to ICE, just grabbing people like, hey, listen, you right there. Hey, listen, just because you a little bit on the darker side, hey, listen, I need to stop. Hey, and sadly, even the regular American citizens like myself, knock on wood, I haven't been stopped at, by ICE. But even if they stop me, I'll cooperate and I'll be like, hey, listen, relax. I'm just a citizen like you, but they probably won't even like, hey, what are you talking about? You got an accent. Get over here. You're going to the van. See how these things operate? And we need to address these situations and the energy when it comes to ICE. I want people to kind of keep doing it. I kind of told somebody because I want to believe that doesn't matter whether Harris, Biden, Trump, whoever it is, these things was going to happen. Again, it's like a wrestling script. It's like, oh, okay, let me fuel the people because I want to be the villain. Because in this country, they play the role of the good and the bad, the villain and the hero. Both political parties, they flip-flop, but they don't necessarily do what's best for the Americans and itself and the people that are coming over here to reap the benefits of living in this country. It's a wonderful country, but I said to myself, wow, oh, universal health care. I want to say, listen, what exactly are we doing? We bringing jobs back, Trump, we bringing it because of the tariff. And I'm like, what is a job, right? Are you bringing good jobs back with a good salary, pension, 401k, health plan? Is that what you're doing, government? Just want to pat yourself on the back and be like, hey, we bringing jobs back because, the tariffs, and I'm like, that. Again, what is a good job, And because of what's going on in regards to the signing or people joining the military has gone low. One of the things that I've heard is that as part of this little ICE package thing going on with the bonus, if you got kids, they basically telling your kids, hey, listen, have them sign up for ROTC or that recruitment thing that they do in high school. You know what I'm talking about. For those Americans that are listening, even though it is not mandatory to be part of the military or anything like that. I know that there's countries that at the age of 17, once you graduate whatever form of education, high school, whatever it is, you got to do a little something for your country, but not in America. America's voluntary. The draft, that was been over like 50 years ago. But it's voluntary. But you see what they do here. They play with people's money. And that's where the whole structure of why I think things are scripted. Because out of nowhere, you tell people, hey, listen, you want a great job, high-paying salary, so on and so forth, go to college. You're going to be in debt, that's fine. I remember a couple of years ago, I went to my dentist. Oh, I like to say my dentist. I went to a dental appointment, and I was talking to a young sister doing her dental thing, but, she was telling me how she's in debt with college, and I'm like, what's crazy? I'm one to say, hey, listen, let's knock out some of these college debt. But you know what? They want to keep you in debt. You know what they're going to do? They're going to go to your college and then these recruiters. Now it's going to be ICE now. That's why you might see people from ICE who might look young, once again, covering their face. They might say, hey, listen, you want to take care of that $200,000 debt join the military. Now you could join ICE, right? And she was looking at me like, oh, that's crazy. It's true. I was trying to get recruited, but, my understanding is she's from an American citizen, but her parents is from Bangladesh. So think about it. A lot of people that come from a lot of countries, let's say Bangladesh, they come from these places that, because they have had a history of war with other countries. So they coming over here to do that peace thing. Imagine my parents just escape whatever dictator, whatever happened in my country. They came here and I'm going to join the military. Oh, they want the better of me. I'm not saying that joining the military is not a proud thing to do, but what I'm just saying is this: tend to question, why is it that you're being told to go somewhere else now? Because going to war, let's say sending troops for the last, after 9/11, it's not a popular thing because now we know that when they send you somewhere, sometimes they just sacrifice you. They're not sending you nowhere to do that thing. Fight for America. Let's go. Excuse me. So now you propped up ICE. Hey, come on this side. Just arrest a couple of people, whether they are illegal, legal, citizen, non-citizen, whatever it is, they get that bonus. That's gonna take care of that college debt. Oh, you got kids? As a matter of fact, make sure that your kids sign up to join the military so you can get that extra bonus. Because you see, that's how you start raising the get propped up that enrollment, military. The recruits got to increase that because it's not a popular thing, has not been a popular thing after 9/11. After 9/11, again, a lot of things have changed in terms of America going to war. People are not too fond of war, especially if you are from places of poverty. They might say, we got a lot of money for other countries and to go to war, but we don't got money for you. And I love the energy that's going on. I see that people are gathering, but once again, here's my thing. And lastly, I get what you're doing, but you know what? I always say when it comes to the government, remember, nobody's taking the government when it comes to an ICE agent shooting, beating you up or anything like that. Ain't nobody taking it. They're not even going to probably get fired. See what I'm saying? Just be careful out there. If you're going to these protests, just be careful. Make sure you have an ID. Just be careful. The other thing too, the other day I'm at work in the lounge, and Christy Norm, the head of Department of Homeland, whatever it is, someone I'm like, what the hell is going on with this lady, right? And I see a gentleman stick the middle finger, all upset, showing that energy. And listen, I love that energy. But I want people to understand that this energy doesn't start and it doesn't end with this administration, that it should continue to do so until somebody says, you know what? I started like 20 years ago. It doesn't hurt to abolish it. We'll find other ways to address the situation at the border. Because a lot of people that come from to this country, if you look at Dominican Republic, Dominicans, Venezuelan, a lot of South American, Central American, Africans. If you look at these individuals, I will guarantee somewhere, somehow, United States have their hand, on their government. And because of whatever United States did, because sometimes this country, they get it, they middle with other people's politics, right? But when it comes to our politics, oh, no, they stole the election, but they steal other people's election. Then they implement some type of ruthless dictator. And that person causes harm, and you got people from certain countries that are coming over here. Now people talking about, hey, listen, the border is open and these people are coming over here. Have anyone asked why? Not just because they want the opportunity, but people got to ask, what did the United States do to get you here? Why are you here? Hey, listen, United States, which again, this is like a script. We voted our Democratic elected, let's say, president, leader, but then because he had no interest in doing things for the United States and the government, the next thing, there was a coup d'etat. Within a year, he's gone. There's a civil war. I'm telling you, it's like a cycle. It never ends. And then you got ICE now. ICE, hey, ICE. Grabbing all these folks out here, even citizens. Because that's how you control the narrative. That's how you control people's mind and when it comes to vote. And sadly, I always said, it's the hand that washes the other. I hear a lot of good people talking about, hey, listen, under Biden, under Barack Obama, for those people who voted Democrat, these things happen. But no one said anything because depending on what it is, but David, now is different. You don't see it. I'm like, again, what does President Trump's going to do when he comes back in office with $2 billion extra for ICE? You get a bonus. As a matter of fact, go. But it's the hand that washes the other. Just keep this energy. If let's just say, I don't know who's going to be the next Democrat presidential candidate, Gavin Newsom, governor of California. You got Kamala still, somewhere around there. Pete Buttigieg, you got all these people. All I'm saying, if the next president, it's a Democratic president, continue the energy, unless they say, you know what, we're going to abolish ICE, and even that, take that with a grain of salt, because they might say, we're going to abolish this, but secretly make another entity, make another branch of something else that's going to do the same thing. See how this works? Because it's a story that never ends, never ends. As long as we have these two political systems, these two political parties, the media, it would never end, never end. And I want people to, I don't even want to say people to wake up. Just listen to my podcast and you're going to probably start to reason like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Or I'm learning something new. Take that. You listen to my podcast, take that information. Share it, talk to your peoples. Talk to the peoples that are affected by ICE, taken away. Just keep in mind, we need a better way to get people citizens. And it used to be that, hey, listen, you propped up people because you had a draft back in the war, back in the days. But you propped up people from other countries, let them come in, and between about the late 70s. And if you look at whether it's Dominican Republic, Bangladesh, Mexican, Venezuela, you got a lot of people that decided to, you know what, either get in police or get into the military. But you see how United States uses this whole migration, immigrant thing? 1 minute, they all cross the border, but the name, I'm like, they jumping at the bit if you got a family of hundreds for a little town in somewhere in Central America, and you decide that, you know what, we're going to enroll into the military because we're going to fight for your freedom now that we in this country. Trust me. The so-called anti-immigrant crowd will be like, let's go. Just be careful with the news. Just be careful. Be safe out there when it comes to the protests. Just be safe. Again, it's not a brave thing to start screaming at these folks out there, and these so-called ICE agents. Because if they knock you out, you're going to pay the price. Not dumb. Your family's going to pay the price. Not dumb. They good. They're getting a bonus. They get to do whatever it is that they need to do on the behest of whatever it is that they've been told to do. They tell you, no, we're here to detain people that is here illegally. I don't know about that. Because in case people forgot, what is ICE? U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's what ICE stands for. So that means they could just enforce whatever custom, whatever thing that they believe that is against the law. And they become the law. And when they become the law, we have to protect each other. And sometimes, hey, listen, all I'm saying, protect each other because that's all we have. Anyways, this is the Deconstructing Topic podcast. My name is David once again, and feel free to reach out. 9/11 happened. A lot of stuff. I'm telling you, I could forever do podcasts of 9/11 and the aftermath, and then the before, and then the after, and the current. Because for some reason, 9/11 to me has always been that thing. When we talk about ICE, we got to talk about 9/11. We talk about Department of Homeland Security, we got to talk about 9/11. When it comes to about drones and technology and so on, and jobs laws and all this, 9/11. I always tell people, listen, I'm in New York City. When 9/11 happened, there was a handful of skyscrapers, including the World Trade Centers. 20 years later, I can't even see the Empire State Building, to be honest with you. Something sinister has come out of 9/11, but this is why I'm doing this podcast, so we could talk about it all and deconstruct it. Deconstructing. Let's get it. All right, I'm out of here. Much love. Peace.